everybody. Welcome to WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And today we are going to be doing something that we haven't really discussed yet, though I anticipate us doing this possibly more frequently, depending on what's out there and what we can discover. But we are going to talk about Disney video games.
Yes.
Specifically one that will be coming, the history of one that will be coming out in about a week's time from when you guys hear this / see this. We are just discussing Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, the kind of the quintessential like Disney actual video game, not just like a tie-in video game, because there's a lot of video games that Disney makes that are kind of more just tie-ins, and they don't really do it in a way that's like a really high-end game where they try to make it
and
artsy
this is definitely
and fun.
one that was a big production. It was a collaboration with Final Fantasy as well as with Disney characters and Disney Worlds, and it is one that I am thoroughly in love with and am waiting with bated breath to see what number 3 is going to end up like. In fact, I took the day off work on the 29th of January, so I will be able to get right into it that same day.
Yeah, and I do have a, if you aren't aware, which most of you probably are not, I do a video game review and tech review channel with Kevin. Mm-hmm. And I
love that you're gesturing at me.
Yeah, her Kevin.
My Kevin.
And we will link that as a card up there
somewhere.
And you can, if you're interested in video game stuff too, we kind of do like a little duo. It's all very comedic, and that's kind of our shtick. So if you're interested in some video game stuff, we also do that. But now let's talk about this Colliding of Worlds for Disney video games.
Yes.
So I, for the very first time, was introduced to Kingdom Hearts. Like, I knew about it going back into elementary school, but I never played it. I never had any PlayStations.
Oh, elementary school.
Yeah, I never had any PlayStations. My family always got me Nintendo products. For whatever reason, that was just what we got. I got a GameCube. That was my first game console.
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the same with me. I mean, now a little bit older at that point in time, but I had gotten a Nintendo growing up, and then the Super NES, and then the 64, and it wasn't until I had moved out on my own that the games came out. And then I got a PS2 specifically for this game alone.
Yeah. And both Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, there's other games that they made that are all over for different consoles, but Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, 2002 and 2005 respectively, were both for PS2, which is crazy to think about now, considering the time difference it's going to be for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, it's going to be 14 year difference that I've been waiting with bated breath.
It's like Incredibles. Is Brad Bird involved with this too? Anyway.
Totally the same time period.
Yeah, it really is. So it's gonna be really interesting. The first, now I didn't know this until I really got into it more, because I really wasn't paying attention to any of the Kingdom Hearts stuff when I was younger. But it's really a big tie-in because of the fact that Square Enix is the tie-in with Final Fantasy. Like they're very related. Both, and I think there's some character crossover, some small character crossover, and there's also
there's some pretty sizable character crossover as well.
And then on top of that, it's just like stylistically and gameplay wise, there's like just a lot of like gameplay carryover between the two. It's a very similar kind of RPG, kind of Eastern style RPG. So it's very interesting. And for me, I have very little experience. I think I played maybe 10 minutes of a Final Fantasy, or some other one. I don't know which one it was, but it's the only experience I've really had with one of those kinds of games, especially from Square Enix. Mm-hmm. So I, for the first time about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, tried Kingdom Hearts 1 for the very first time.
Made him come over.
Yep.
And plugged him in.
Yes, and it was my first time using a game PlayStation controller in probably about 2 years, so I was just kind of getting back into that, and then jumping right into a game where the controls felt very foreign to me, with having lots of stuff happening. It's very kind of the controls are very ambidextrous, very confusing to when you haven't really played with them before.
You need to be able to use both hands, all digits, to be able to control it.
Like the fact that I was having to do real-time stuff to get access to, things. Like I wanted a potion, you had to do it like in real time while you're doing other stuff. It was very, very, and then targeting and all that kind of stuff. It's not something I was used to. I'm very used to Western-style first-person go hacky slashy, just kind of get your stuff ready and macro it and you go. Like, that's kind of your thing. It's very kind of on the seat of your pants. This is more methodical. So it was very different for me to get into. But I was surprised at how kind of dark the game style is. Like, it's very dark and kind of grim, considering the fact that it's like a Disney crossover. Yeah, I just coming into this, I'm like, this is like a really dark anime that has Mickey Mouse in it. I'm very confused. Like, so that was a very interesting thing for me to kind of get into. From what I saw, and you're gonna have to correct me and take this away from me once I'm to the end of my understanding. But it seems to me that it's basically like you are in one world, and then there's like a bunch of Disney stuff happening, and they have their issues that they're running into that are kind of affecting you both, and then you eventually collide, and your character that's just kind of generic Square Enix anime character runs into like Goofy and Donald, and it says Goofy and Donald, right?
Yes,
and Pluto.
Goofy and Donald.
And Pluto shows up, yeah.
Yep, all of them.
So yeah, I only got to like the second world.
But we'll get you there.
But we'll get there. We'll get there.
You there.
I was struggling with the first boss fight, though Kevin pointed out that I was playing on normal. I probably should have started on easy.
Now that I think about it,
That
probably a good thing.
would have been a good way
but
to
of course, I start everything on normal too.
Right.
I mean, that's
Just
the
kinda-
normal gameplay,
right.
so
And
it
I
makes
really,
sense that be
I
where.
really should have done that, because I'm not actually that good at video games. I enjoy them, but I'm not that good at them. Like, for example, the latest, here we go. The latest, like, Mass Effect or something, I played it on narrative mode. Where you have to fight, but, like, it doesn't really, you could die, theoretically, but, like, it doesn't happen very quickly. But anyway.
So you're in it for the story.
I'm in it for the story.
You're not in it for the actual
the fighting and the I want to. It's fun because it's immersive, but it's not required for me to enjoy the storyline. And this is very much in that world where I'm like, I find the storyline very interesting with all this very weird kind of crossover-y, like you have this character and Sora.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're playing a Sora who's like what, like 12 or something? 12 or
he's
a young character.
Yes, I'd say preteenish.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, the dialogue was awful. It's horrible.
No.
In the very beginning. I suspect it gets better as it kind of gets into more of the story. No, okay, well,
No.
never mind. The dialogue
that's
is
part of the charm.
It's
that's
charming.
part of the character.
It's charming. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was not something I was expecting. I guess I wasn't sure what to expect at all, but it was it's very corny, but it definitely, because of that, you really get that I'm trying the best way to describe it. It's got that cult following style vibe to it, where it's kind of I'm like, am I playing Rocky Horror Picture Show? Like, that's kind of the feeling
Less
of like
transvestites.
but the same level of like very cult following-y kind of video game, and
Yes.
I can see how that crossover is interesting to many different kinds of people.
Well, and one thing that I love about the crossover is because it makes the Disney aspect more adult.
Yeah.
Because it's not just cutesy little, we're going to play with this little mouse over here,
Right,
or we're
right.
going to have this little adventure over here.
Right.
There are aspects of that in the game, but as you said, it's a lot darker as far as what the original plot line is, which is that darkness is literally eating worlds.
Right.
And so
And like removing people's hearts. Is that what's happening?
Yep.
It's like, or soul. It's like soul, right? Like
yeah, they call it hearts, but it's essentially the person's
life,
soul.
like life force.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what you noticed when Sora was on his main home, and the first big thing that happened was the darkness ate his entire planet.
Right.
And so he was
Classic.
kind of kicked off into this different world. And the entire fight that you do with Sora, the character, is you are trying to stop the darkness from eating that world and
Right.
taking over people's hearts.
Yep.
And then locking it so they can't
Come back.
Yeah, they can't be taken over again.
Which is like, again, we're going back. It's like, wow, this is Disney?
This
That
is
seems
Disney.
like super dark, guys.
So in the second world that you run into in the original game, you eventually team up with Goofy and Donald,
Right.
and they become your fighting party, and they are with you throughout the entire game, including Kingdom Hearts 2. They come back,
Okay.
and obviously I'm going to assume Kingdom Hearts 3, because what would it be if they had 1 and 2 and then
they just like
yeah.
completely changed it. And
But
yeah.
you are basically going from world to world to world, fighting all of these heartless characters or these dark shadow characters. And each world, normally, except for the originating couple, has to do with a Disney theme.
Right.
So you'll go to Wonderland, you'll go to the jungle with Tarzan, you're going under the sea with the Little Mermaid, you are in Olympus and you are competing there. You have Beast's Castle that you're in. My favorite is Halloween Town from Nightmare Before Christmas.
There you go.
And each time you go to one of these different worlds, the main characters, Sora as well as Goofy and Donald, change their appearance to adapt. So that way, because the worlds technically aren't supposed to know about each other.
Right.
So they try and appear as if they are part of that world. And so it's really interesting to see how their characters change. So like Under the Sea, you have Donald being a half duck on the top, half octopus on the bottom. Or you have Goofy, who is a sea turtle with Goofy's head sticking out the front.
Sure.
So they didn't actually change him too much, just the body, but you still got Goofy's head and his hat and everything.
The characters have to be able to adapt to exist in the environment that they've been thrown into, which it just makes it very interesting, where it's like how they've made it into like a storyline that also serves the fact that we're basically just like jumping through Disney IP. Like it's like there we go, next the new Disney IP. Oh look, here now we're at Pirates of the Caribbean. That's pretty amazing.
That one's on Kingdom Hearts 2, which is really awkward because they tried to make them look realistic and still do that good of a job. Now it was, what, 2005?
Yeah.
So tech back then was...
Yeah, that was only 2 years after the first one came out. Remember when there was only one Pirates movie?
It's almost like Land Before Time here soon. But this game is one of my favorite games because it does bring back those little sparks of joy. It does touch base as well with the villainous side of me because you get a lot more interaction with
the villain characters.
Yeah, the evil characters.
Yeah.
So Maleficent plays a huge role in this, as well as you're going to see other big baddies making appearances occasionally too.
Right.
Even Pete. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Pete.
Not really.
But Pete is one of the original Disney characters. So you know Steamboat Willie?
Yeah.
Okay, so Pete owned the steamboat.
Oh, well there you go.
But his character's kind of evolved as Disney has evolved, and he's turned into more of a bad guy. Okay. And not just a grumpy, why are you on my steamboat?
Yeah, I gotcha.
But when we were playing Kingdom Hearts 2, there was a battle with Scar from The Lion King.
Sure.
A battle with Jafar. Hades is there snarking around and everything as well. You got the Queen of Hearts trying to have her courtesan session and who ate her tarts and all of that. There's
Classic.
Ursula, which I have issue with Atlantica in Kingdom Hearts 2. Everything. So all the other worlds, you go in there, you fight, you got a couple boss battles, you lock it, whatever.
Right, sure.
Literally all Under the Sea with the Little Mermaid Atlantica was in Kingdom Hearts 2 was musicals.
Hilarious.
And having to press a button at the right time.
Awesome.
Along with the song. So some of the songs you're familiar with.
Right.
Some of them not so much.
So like DDR for your...
Kind of.
Interesting.
And then the song that they had for Ursula was not Ursula's song. I have no clue where it came from, and it made me very disappointed.
Well, because like she's got a very famous song. Why not just do that one?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Poor unfortunate song. Weird. All right,
but
that's enough of that.
It is a wonderful game. It's something where I think any age range should be able to find enjoyment from this.
On one level or another.
Little kids, because, hey, Goofy and Donald's is, and they get to do all that. The real deep concepts don't affect them at all, which is something that Disney does amazingly, where they're able to, even just in their movies, have it entertaining for the whole family.
With different layers of whatever's going on.
Of content and, you know, sneaky adult this versus, you know, that, and... It's a really, really enjoyable game, and it definitely is complex, but not in a way that people can't handle it, or you have to be at a certain level to be able to understand it. You do have the opportunity to really get familiar with the controls, and you will have to do that with every single game, because they switch up the control order.
Oh, that'll
which
be fun.
Bugged me when I started Kingdom Hearts 2.
That'll be really fun.
But I'm interested to see how they tweak it again for Kingdom Hearts 3, just because some things in Kingdom Hearts 1 felt a little bit more natural. Other things in Kingdom Hearts 2 felt a little bit more natural as far as controls go. So maybe they'll marry the two this time.
Yeah.
But with your situation, we were trying to get you to a point where you could actually interact with Disney characters and everything first. So we sped through a lot of those introduction times and not giving you the ample opportunity to be able to get familiar with the controllers and everything too.
Right. So it'll be something that I'll have to kind of get into a little bit more.
Maybe we should just restart it up on basic.
Just swap it to beginner. Yeah, I could use some training wheels. But a little interesting. So technically, we had kind of talked about this before, but since Square Enix was the developer, they used the same game engine going all the way back as they used for the Final Fantasy games. So it's built entirely in the same code base, are very similar.
Interesting.
At the time, it was less common to use game engines. Like now, a lot of games are built in the same game engine and can be adapted to different games. In the early Square Enix stuff, they would build stuff for specific things. So when Disney and Square Enix are like, let's do this kind of RPG game, they're like, okay, we'll just grab the Final Fantasy thing and just, you know, swap it over and use it for Kingdom Hearts. But so that's been a big thing with the latest game. So now finally they're coming out with the third one for PS4, and they have been running into tons of problems because they built a new game engine in 2012 that they were going to use to be the new system. It was called Luminance or something.
Is that why it took an extra 7 years?
So in 2012 they tried to do it with that system, but they ran into so many shading problems, and they had like a whole laundry list.
I need shading.
Some contouring. They had all sorts of problems with rendering different things. I didn't see all the details. I'm sure there's ways to dig in and find more details about that. But they basically ran into these sorts of problems, and they basically started the game over from scratch and rebuilt it in the Unreal Engine, Unreal 4, which is used by almost every modern Western RPG and shooter. So they just kind of repurposed it with a system that's very robust and very, you know, well suited for almost anything. And I think they've just kind of rebuilt it in that system.
And I appreciate when you talk about system for anything, this time they are going to have it on other consoles as well. So it's not just going to be a PlayStation exclusive, which I think is a smart move.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of people out there that want to play the game that can't afford multiple consoles.
Right.
But if you can just adapt your program slightly to fit this system versus that system, you'll make so much more money.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, like, I don't want to have, like, I only have like a Wii U right now. I mostly use PCs for gaming. But if I had to get like a Switch and they had it for Nintendo Switch, I'd probably get a Switch for that, because that's something that I'm more interested. I don't really want a PlayStation. So it is a good policy in general, publishers, to do that anyway, to have that more open environment. So people can choose
if you are listening
platform.
To us,
yes,
all of you moneymaker decision
Sony,
makers.
Yeah, Nintendo. Anyway,
I will say, though, for the last 14 years that we've been waiting, there have been some little, like, small insert games that have come out to help feed us a little bit, just gives us little tastes here, little snacks there. Some of them are kind of like card roll turn based. Some of them are another version of like the RPG, but you know, shorter, slightly different. The one that we are starting, where it's supposed to take place after Kingdom Hearts 2 but before Kingdom Hearts 3, is a smaller version where you actually, there's 3 characters and you have to play each one because it's a different plot line for each one.
Okay.
So it's obviously not going to be the 30 plus hours of game time per person.
Right.
So we're interested to see how long that's going to take, and then, you know, each character and what they did there. But a lot of those mini games were really just to fill up plot and answer some questions as far as, you know, who this character is, what this person does, what's their contribution to either the light or the dark sides of light or dark side. That's They haven't added Star Wars to the game. So, I'm getting ahead of myself, even though one of the boss fights at the very, very end, they basically had lightsabers.
Of course they did.
In Kingdom Hearts 2.
Of course
they did. But they couldn't say that it was Star Wars, because at that point in time, I don't think that they had bought
They
them.
were not connected,
So,
yeah.
In Kingdom Hearts 3, coming out next week, again on the 29th, what we anticipate is a lot more of the same situations as far as the Heartless versus different Disney worlds.
Right.
There has been a preview going on for the last month in Disney Springs down in Orlando, Florida, where if you happen to be down there, you had the opportunity to have some playtime, get to see some of the prop keyblades, which are amazing props. It's basically their swords, but they're made into keys. That way it's, you know, less threatening for kids.
Right.
But some of the worlds that are coming out that are going to be new for Kingdom Hearts 3, you're going to have one that is Toy Story based.
Okay. You
are going to have one that is Monsters Inc. based. So there you have 2 that are Pixar, which is really kind of
That's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're going to have a Frozen one. They're going to have... I'm brain farting. There's a lot of different... Essentially, there's just going to be a lot of different worlds in there.
With the new IP that they've had since the time
14 years of acquisitions.
It's been a lot... Some original stuff, but a lot of it is stuff that they've acquired too. They've got quite a repertoire now. So,
and I'm really interested to see what else they add, because they like to have diverse worlds, so it's not just, you know, the same atmosphere. So there's always been Agrabah for the desert world. They've always done Under the Sea. There's always been just a variety of different textures and world bases, so you can tell the difference between them. And so I'm interested to see what they take advantage of this round to be able to have that diversity and have that different texture feels. And
I think it'll be really fun to see how that goes. Especially me playing the first one to now probably watching you guys play the third one. I'll be like, because it's like PS2 to like 14 years of console generations. It's pretty crazy. Though I will say that playing the first one, it was a little dated feeling, but for like 2002, I didn't think about how long ago that was. It didn't feel that bad.
Well, and they remastered it. So the copy that we have is an remastered version.
The HD reversion.
I do have the original at home, so if you really want to have eye strain, I can plug it into our high definition television.
I mean, I'm all about that.
I mean, I am seeing...
there is a Sega Genesis plugged into a 4K television over here. I don't want to talk about it.
Sonic is staring at me, but I'm just looking forward to the game. Like I said, it's one of the few games that I've become super passionate about since it came out, and honestly, with the way that it wrapped up, we weren't sure if they ever would have a third, so it didn't end on a cliffhanger, which I appreciated. But I'm still super excited to get back into it and to see where this level of technology and this level of visual graphics
they're able to push it to, especially after 14 years. They've had some time. So, it'll be fun to see.
Super excited.
Yeah. And I'm excited just to see more of it, because I haven't had really any exposure to the world so far, except for just my first little couple-hour foray into it. So, it'll be fun to see.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, that's Kingdom Hearts. Again, we're not being sponsored by Disney at all or by Kingdom Hearts at all. We're just
talk about it,
and so if you are interested in a Disney game. It is a great one to start off with. Stay away from a couple others that I'm sure we'll talk about later as far as your first venture into Disney games.
Yeah.
There was a time where Disney made some amazingly hard games that even now make Kevin cringe. So we'll talk about those, I'm sure, at another time. We might even bring him in on those.
Yeah, that'd be fun to do one of those.
But check it out. Like I said, it comes out on the 29th, available on multiple systems, and you shouldn't have to worry about knowing what happened in the last couple games to be able to pick this one up.
Okay.
Another thing that I just remembered is that you're not only forced to play Sora, so you might be able to play other characters as well, which is kind of a nice thing too.
Interesting change. Cool.
So yeah.
Alrighty then.
On that note, my name's Crystal. Thank you for watching and listening to WD Carousel of Podcast.
I'm Ian.
There we go, got it in. And hope you guys have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.